Hey, thanks for being here. This is the Ace Man. Thanks for joining me on another Sunday, Spiritual Sunday with the Ace Man, and little Beethoven again for you. Hope your Sunday's going well. I want to take this Sunday, take an opportunity and talk to you about something that I've been reflecting on, and it's dealing with karmic consequences. As I reflect back in my own life, reflect back on the vast number of experiences that I've had, I'm starting to see the connection between the actions, decisions, and the interactions that I've had with people and how they've mirrored almost precisely to the life that I'm living now. There's a point in my life where I heard about we being all one. Have you heard of that before, where we are all one? And I remember when I heard those words, okay, it made sense in theory, but then connecting the dots took a little bit more time to really process in my own truth, in my own reality. But karmic consequences are real. The actions that we take in our lives, the decisions that we make, and the interactions that we have with one another, in a way, we output or send a boomerang out that comes back on us in many different ways. I think there are a lot of people that when they hear the word karma, they associate, okay, well, that's when you do something bad and bad comes back to you. But karma to me is everything, every action, every thought, every word, every deed, every decision. But the trick, the mystery to karmic consequences, whether good or bad, and I'm using labels in this video only for understanding. The mystery of karmic consequences is connecting the one deed, the one action, the one interaction, and how we're repaid in a future present moment. And I've thought about that. I've thought about how these dots connect. You probably heard that what you do to another, you do to yourself. We've all heard about the golden rule: do unto others as you would want to be done unto you. But I don't think we really internalize it. I think for a lot of people, it's just a theory. I don't think we go steps further and really internalize how our actions, how our decisions, and how our interactions with one another literally come back to us. And that's what I want to talk to you about tonight on this Spiritual Sunday, is about karmic consequences, so that we can be a bit sharper in our intention with every action, every decision, and every interaction that we have with each other. Because if we are all one, and if what I do to you comes back to me, if this is truth and it's a universal truth, well, yeah, we need to really pay more attention to how we go about our business day to day. I was following a story of a drug dealer Not going to mention any names, but he was in the drug game. It actually turned into a movie. And again, I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want to take away from the message. But he was a drug dealer, and he killed one of his friends over greed and over money. Point blank, just killed him. And then decades later, after he did some prison time, he himself got killed as well. And we've all heard, live by the sword, die by the sword. But is that an example of a karmic consequence? I think about things like that. I think about my past, which hasn't always been the best path I could have taken. And I think about how things that I may have been involved in and things I may have done in my past, have they come back on me in certain ways? And so that's the trick. We never know how one action connects to another action. We never know how that's going to come back. And that's the mystery of the universe. If I'm nasty to you, if I'm disrespectful to you, if I spit on you, if I physically harm you when you have done nothing to me, how does that come back? Excuse me. How does that come back? And in what variation does it come back at? How does it come back? It would be real cool if I could have, let's say you and I had an altercation, and that in a future moment, a present future moment, excuse me, I don't know why I'm sneezing now, but in a future present moment, it would be cool to be able to pinpoint, well, Ace, because you did this, this is what happened. But that's not how the universe works, does it? We never know how it's going to come back. We never know how it's going to come back and in what variation it's going to come back in. And that's the big mystery of karmic consequences. We just know that what we output, what we send out, eventually comes back. And that also goes well for good deeds that you've done. The many good deeds that you've done, we don't know how it comes back. It may not come back in the same way you send it out. Because in this example of the drug dealer that I used with you, he took out his best friend, but his best friend or his friend later on didn't take him out. So it's quite interesting. And I think about things like that. I think the point and the principle I'm trying to drive home to you is that we have to be aware. We have to be more aware of what we are doing, how we're engaging, how we're communicating, the decisions that we make, and the actions that we take, because they do have a boomerang effect. And being ignorant does not excuse you or excuse me from the consequences of our decisions, the consequences of our actions, and how we interact with one another. Doesn't excuse us at all. So, as we're navigating through our lives, as we're navigating through this concept, how do you go about dealing with people? Are you consciously aware and engaged of what's going on? And if it's true that we are all one and what we do to each other comes back on us, then what steps do we now know? What steps do we take now? And when we look at karmic consequences, are there levels to it? And this is just a question. And this is a concept I've just been exploring because it's been something that I've been really, really, really thinking about. Because I do believe that there are levels to it. And what do I mean by levels? Well, I truly believe that as we continue to evolve, and we continue to raise our vibration, then the karmic consequences change. They change and they also speed up. This is what I happen to believe. And I believe that when we are doing things intentionally, then we speed up the process even more. So, how do we handle some of the tricky situations that life presents to us? I think about the individual that had their home broken into, and to defend their family, they may have shot the intruder. How does karmic consequences work in that scenario? I think about that because I'm going to tell you something. If you kick in my door and try to hurt my family, I'm going to protect my family. You know, so I always think through, how does the universe respond to that? I also think about the individuals that have recognized that maybe they've been toxic in their past, or maybe they've been nasty in the past, and they've made a decision to go about living life differently. Are they then, do they get a pass for what they've done in the past? So if I've been nasty to you, if I've been disrespectful to you, and then I recognize that, okay, I handled this wrong, and let's say I come to you and I apologize, does that give me a pass on everything that I've done in my past? I think in Christianity, it's called being born again, and there's a cleansing that comes over you. And are you fully cleansed of some of the things that you may have done in your past, in your history? So I think about karmic consequences and how that works. I would like to believe that if you did someone wrong in your past and you recognize it consciously and you apologize, let's say, to the individual, that by you doing that, you do raise the level of your vibration and you're no longer held accountable for some of the things you've done in the past. That makes sense to me, but I don't know. I don't know if that's logically how the universe operates. I don't even know if I don't think the universe operates in logic, but I would like to think that that may be something that takes place. But I do know this. I do know that we have a responsibility to be aware of the actions and the decisions and how we treat one another. I do believe that we are all one. And when I say we, I mean everyone. We does not exclude color, culture, gender, any of that. We are all one. And for some people, that's a difficult concept to embrace because of the physical vices of separation that one has to work through. So this concept of, we are all one and kumbaya and all that, it may not be that easy for some of us to digest, but I do believe that there are some universal laws and principles that operate in an area where if we are going to continue to grow, we have to accept and adapt to these principles. So I believe that forgiveness is real. I believe that forgiveness plays a part. I believe that forgiveness brings about a freedom if it's done in a certain way where we can start anew, raise our vibration, and go in a new direction in our lives. However, we still have to be aware. You've probably heard the term, if you have revenge in your heart and you seek revenge to dig two graves. And in my past, I've been one that has been very vengeful. I've planned a number of things getting back at people, and that was the ego part of me just coming out. I've done it in my past where I'm like, "Oh, you did that to me. Well, I created my own karma. I created my own karmic consequence. Like, oh, you did that to me. Well, I'm gonna make sure you get some of this back. You send me this energy, I'm gonna send it right back." And I'm really working to evolve through that because I recognize there's no need. And it takes so much energy to hate someone, to dislike someone. It takes a lot of energy. And again, your output creates your input. So the very quality of your interaction that you have with someone creates the quality of the input that comes back to you. Karmic consequences. And I also look at karmic consequences from a completely different angle because, in reading Conversations with God, where God tells Neil that he has sent nothing but angels, if before we came here, we made a pact that I was supposed to treat you a certain way in order for you to learn a lesson, well then, how does the karmic consequences work with that? Like, if my role was to be the individual or the catalyst that made you a better individual by going through pain and hurt, like the connection to that, like it would seem as if I was making a sacrifice for your overall benefit. So how does karmic consequence work with that? I would be interested to hear your comments on that, because these are the things I think about as I dig through this entire mystery and this entire puzzle called karmic consequences, recognizing that for every action, for every decision, for every quality of interaction, there is something that's responding back. It's no different than a boomerang. You send a boomerang out, the boomerang comes back. So if you send out nastiness, nastiness somehow finds you at a future present moment. So there are a lot of mysteries that I'm really weaving through as it deals with karmic consequence. I believe it exists. I know it exists because it's no longer a theory in my life. I can see how the dots connect in my own life, in my own reality, in my own environment. But there's still a few unanswered questions that I have as it relates to how it all ties together. And so I think that the thing that we need to focus on is how we wake up, how we set the intention for our day, and to be the very best version that we can be at all times. We're still going to make mistakes. We're still going to cuss a few people out. We're still going to have moments where we lose ourselves. But I would like to believe that there are ways that we can work through those situations and adjust the karma that comes back to us in the form of a consequence. I would like to believe that. I would like to believe that as we continue to evolve in our lives, that karma would work a little differently. It would be very easy for me to say that the things that I took a part of in my younger days that I'm not so proud of, it would be real easy for me to say, well, I operated out of ignorance, but the universe doesn't look at it that way. So how do you look at karma? How do you deal with karma? How do you look at your interactions with people? Because I think a lot of the karma that we create is in our interactions with one another, in how we handled that argument, in how we handled that dispute, in how we handled that situation with others. I feel that our one on one interactions give us the best opportunity to grow, the best opportunity to learn, but also there is a karmic response every time we have an altercation with someone. I hear from people, some of the people that I work with, that they keep running into the same kind of people. So it could be a relationship. You're in one relationship and you get rid of, you break it off and then you find someone else and it's very similar. So is that karmic consequence coming back? Is that the universe telling you that maybe it wasn't the individual, maybe it was you? These are the things I think about. And it doesn't just have to be in a relationship, it could be in any situation. You go from one job environment where the quality of the environment at your job wasn't what you wanted to simply end up in another scenario very similar to what you just left. Karmic consequence. So was it really the job, or could it have been you? Is the universe sending us messages through our experiences that maybe we are the ones that need to change the vibration that we're holding within ourselves? It's a tough cookie, it's a tough pill to swallow. When you have to look in the mirror and admit that maybe that you are the issue, that you are the problem, maybe you are the one that's creating this treadmill of karmic consequences that are looking very similar to the situation that you just left. These are things that I think about even in my own life, because there's certain aspects of my life where, yes, I can make the change and it's instant and I go about things. And then there are other times where a pattern just continues to keep showing up. And that pattern for me would suggest that, Ace, the issue is with you, not the situation. The issue may be with you, not the individual. So it gives opportunity for me or you, if we're in this situation, to make the changes that we need to make. And I know that I used an extreme example with the drug dealer that killed his best friend to end up decades later finding his own demise through the same type of violence. But I feel that this karmic consequence that continues to happen with us, this wheel that continues to turn in our day to day reality, ultimately is linked from what we're outputting. And that's what we have to really, really move forward and operate with. We have to operate more with what we are outputting in order to adjust the input that's coming back to us. And that's not always easy, because we find it easy to find fault in another. Very seldom do we look in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm the one that needs to make the change here. I'm the one that needs to take accountability for what's going on. I read somewhere, and I forget what book it was, that everything that you experience, anything that comes into your awareness, you summoned. Everything. And that's been a very challenging, it's been very challenging for me to accept that. You get in a car accident, You have to be the one that says, okay, I attracted this. No matter what happens, if it comes into your awareness, in a way, you brought it to you. So if this is true, and if this can also be a part of the karmic consequence just playing out, then how would you live your life? If you really took that as truth, then what are some of the changes, what are some of the adjustments that you would make in your life right now? I decided to talk about this today on Spiritual Sunday. Number one, I was led to, and number two, this is something that I have been really, really struggling with. And I think that where we are right now as a human species and where we're going, self-awareness is going to be the biggest tool that we can work with to help alter our karmic consequences. Self-awareness, being present in every moment, every decision, every action, and every interaction. Catching ourselves before we lose ourselves to the ego's insanity. You don't know what I mean? Let me tell you. Have you ever got into an argument with somebody and you started yelling and screaming to the point where you lost all understanding of what was going on? And then to later on, as you're reflecting back on that argument, like, why the hell did I do that? That is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about us getting so present in the moment that we are fully aware of everything that we're saying, everything that we're thinking, and everything that we're speaking and doing. Because if we can get better at how we work with one another, if we can get better at how we interact with one another, the game changes. The game changes on so many different levels. I think that the universe put us on this planet and that there are rules that govern what we do, and we get to pick and choose. We're creators, remember? So if we are creators and what we put out eventually comes back in, and if we fully, fully believe that with everything in our being, everything in our heart, and we start to mind more about what we say, how we treat others, I think we can really reshape the experiences that we have. I think that we can bring about, people call it luck. It's not luck, but we can reshape and redesign many of the experiences that we have. And at the end of the day, it's really about just lining up with your authentic self and operating in who you truly are. If we can just get that 90% right, everything else takes care of itself. And when we are operating in our authenticity, we don't have to worry about our self-esteem. We don't have to worry about our confidence. We don't have to worry about jealousy. We don't have to worry about some of these egotistical traits that are always lurking around our energetic field, just waiting for an opportunity to lash out. I've seen individuals take advantage of other individuals for no reason. I've seen individuals just flat out use others for no reason, and they think it's cute. But there's an accounting for that. There is. And so what we do day to day is so important. We feel that our individual actions, a lot of us feel that our individual actions don't matter. It's like what I think doesn't matter, like what I do doesn't matter. It really does. And this is what we need to start paying attention to more, because this is some of the soul searching I've been doing in my own life, in my own quest to just become a much better human being. I wake up every day with this desire of how can I get better today? And I want to tell you, it hasn't always been like that. Hasn't. But that's what I really choose to do. I'm tired of the drama, aren't you? The pain and the suffering. And I know that we don't completely get away from it, but how many more deep breaths? I'm like, oh, like, it's like, and so I wake up with the intention of who can I help today and how can I be the best version of me today? Because I'm recognizing that I matter and how I go about things matter. And so the good deeds that I do, I don't expect anything to come back, but I know because of karmic consequences that it will come back. And you never know. And I want to tell you something. I've been blessed. I have been truly blessed. And I know that a lot of it has been directly connected to the fact that I truly wake up and try to be the best human being I can be. And I make a ton of mistakes. I make a ton of mistakes. Every day I make mistakes. I am not perfect. Sometimes little ace, that's what I call him, the ego part of me gets the best of me. But when I catch it and I recognize it, I work very hard to correct it. I have no problems apologizing today because I recognize that if I apologize to someone that I may have done something wrong to, I'm literally apologizing for myself as well. Every time that I create forgiveness, I create that space for forgiveness within myself too. So I'm starting to really put the dots together on how all of this is connected. And my goal here tonight is just to have you do the same thing for yourself. Because there's a liberation to that. There's a peace with that. It feels good to be able to go to bed and close my eyes and realize that, you know what, I did my very best today. Versus going to bed knowing, you know what, I shitted on this person and this person feels like shit because of me, and oh well. And again, you can do whatever you want to do. This isn't anything that you have to do. But my goal here is to give you some things to consider, some things to think about, some things to ponder on. Is there more that you can do? Is there more that I can do? Absolutely. I challenge myself with that every day. I deal with people every day that don't have their best interest towards me. And I understand that. And I'm not going to allow anyone to stop me from being the best version of me. I'm also not going to let anybody take advantage of me either. But you should never allow what you see someone else do rob you from being good. I've had people take advantage of me, but it doesn't stop me from helping more people. It doesn't stop me from helping more people. And you want to know why? Because I know that there's a universe that has my back. I have the entire universe backing me up. And this universe knows my heart, knows my intention, and knows the integrity that I have within me. So even though I go through these painful experiences, I still continue to do what I do. And I continue to get better. Because I realize that everything that comes to me through the universe, comes to me through the Creator. So I'm going to leave you with that. Take some time and really look and reflect in your life. Look and reflect to the decisions you've made, the actions you've taken, the quality of your relationships. What I try to do is, in my reflecting, look at ways that I can get better from who I was. I no longer want to be the ace of 1995 and 2005 and 2015. I want to be the best version of Ace today. And I challenge you to be the best version of who you are today. And if we can just wake up and just get a little bit better, that little bit better added to the collective of everybody on the planet just getting a little bit better, then together we not only come together, but together we create more of an authentic experience, not only for you, but also for me and everyone else. Love and respect, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.